Good afternoon from London. It's a clear, fresh and crisp autumn afternoon here in London. And hello from me, Dr. Dermot Hudson, the chairman of the British group for the study of the Juche idea, chairman of the Korean Friendship Association of the UK, an official delegate of KFA for the UK, President of the Association for the Study of Songun Politics of the UK, and of course owner of this channel, Songun 007. Now, today I'm going to speak about the subject of the DPRK's new law on the policy on the nuclear force. And I think this is a very important and relevant subject to talk about today. In his policy speech to the 7th session of the Supreme People's Assembly of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which was held on the 8th of September, just before National Day in the DPRK, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un made particular and very detailed reference to the fact that the DPRK had adopted the law on the state policy on the nuclear force. This law legally enshrines the DPRK's status as a nuclear power, a socialist nuclear power of Juche, a nuclear power of Songun, and it contains guidelines for the DPRK's use of nuclear weapons. Most notable is that it does not preclude the preemptive use or first strike, and this is something that's caused upset amongst the imperialists and others, or should I say the imperialists and their fellow travellers on the so-called left. Marshal Kim Jong-un in the speech said, and I quote, "The position of our state as a nuclear nation has become irreversible." End of quotation. And he also said, "There will never be such a thing as our abandonment of the nuclear weapons or denuclearization first, nor will there be any negotiations to this end or bargaining chip in these processes." End of quotation. And I think, that's actually dealt a very heavy slap in the face to the US imperialists and others. Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un made a very deep and profound analysis of the situation around the DPRK and the threat of US imperialism to the DPRK. He said, and I quote, "As long as there exist nuclear weapons and remains imperialism on the earth, and as long as the United States and its vassal forces refuse to stop their anti-DPRK manoeuvrings, our journey of building up the nuclear force will not come to an end." End of quotation. This is indeed very, very true and most correct. The aggressive and reactionary nature of US imperialism, and indeed all other imperialisms, can never change, no matter what. Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un is an astute and intelligent leader who is not fooled by the imperialist rhetoric and soft soap about peace. The talk of peace by the US is just deception. The aggressive, reactionary and predatory nature of US imperialism cannot change, and the hostile policy of the US towards the DPRK remains unchanged, regardless of whoever sits in the White House. Moreover, the US imposes a nuclear threat to the DPRK and continually carries out war exercises in South Korea which threaten the DPRK. Given this situation, it is only just that the DPRK should take state measures to enhance its nuclear force whilst reserving the right of a preemptive strike against its enemies. The US imperialists want to force the DPRK into unilateral disarmament so they can overthrow the socialist system. The US imperialists and world imperialists are imposing sanction after sanction against People's Korea. But respected Marshal Kim Jong-un said, and I quote, "Let them impose sanctions for 100, nay, 1,000 days, or even 10 or 100 years," end of quotation. I think that bit of the speech was absolutely brilliant. It's very much the spirit of no surrender, almost, we'll fight them on the beaches and in the fields, kind of stuff. Respected Marshal Kim Jong-un's speech is a militant declaration that the DPRK will not compromise with the imperialists. The DPRK has rejected all attempts to disarm it and push it down a certain path. 4 years ago, some people were saying that the DPRK would unilaterally disarm itself and even open a McDonald's in Pyongyang, as well as joining the International Monetary Fund of the imperialists. None of this has happened, and now the DPRK is declaring the irreversibility of its nuclear weapons program. Hard cheese imperialists, I say. I applaud the policy speech of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un. It gives absolutely correct guidelines for building socialism while standing in confrontation with US imperialism and world imperialism. Bravo to People's Korea for declaring itself a nuclear weapons state. The DPRK has rejected all attempts to disarm it and push it down a certain path. It is good to see a country standing up for itself and not taking any nonsense from the US imperialists. If only the old Soviet Union had done this, if only Iraq and Libya and the socialist countries of Eastern Europe had done the same thing, history would have been much different. The DPRK's nuclear policy has been criticised not just by the US imperialists and other imperialists and the puppet UN, but also by revisionists, pacifist milksops, Trotskyites and liberals. In the UK, a certain gang of burnt-out hippie pacifists have called the DPRK's law on nuclear forces, and I quote, "a worrying development," quote unquote. Oh dear. Never mind, how sad. Anyway, I answer them as follows. First, the US has a nuclear first strike policy. So why shouldn't the DPRK have one? Why do some people think the imperialists and in big countries should have a monopoly on a nuclear first strike? Surely it is only fair that the DPRK should match the US policy of a nuclear strike with its own. Secondly, it is the US that first developed nuclear weapons and actually used nuclear weapons against a non-nuclear state. Moreover, the US considered a nuclear first strike against the DPRK during the Korean War of 1950 to 1953, during the Pueblo incident of 1968 and the Panmunjom incident of 1976 and other occasions. The US designated the DPRK a target of a US nuclear first strike in 2002. Thirdly, Korea was divided by force by the US in 1945, and the DPRK was invaded by the US imperialists in 1950, with at least 1.2 million civilians killed and the country devastated completely. The DPRK's nuclear deterrent will ensure this does not happen again. Fourth, is the DPRK supposed to fold its arms and just sit and wait to be invaded by the imperialists, I ask? Fifth, the experience of the 1962 Caribbean crisis, in which the USSR, under the leadership of the revisionist and traitor Khrushchev, pulled its missiles out of Cuba and allowed UN inspections only after 6 days, and without consulting the Cuban leadership, shows that a small country cannot rely on a big country for its defence. Moreover, the experience of a certain big country recently shows that such countries may not be such efficient allies as some imagine them to be, and cannot be relied on. Finally, the DPRK did all it could to work towards a peaceful settlement of DPRK-US relations and issues on the Korean Peninsula by holding 2 summits and 1 meeting with US President Trump, as well as 3 inter-Korean summits. And basically the US and South Korean puppets, despite those meetings and summits, continued with their hostile anti-DPRK policies and continue with the sanctions. So, that sent a particular message. In conclusion, I would point out that the DPRK's law on state policy of nuclear forces is about defending the DPRK's independence and territorial integrity, as well as the advanced socialist system centred on the people of the DPRK. It is regrettable that some who style themselves as quote progressives or quote leftists share the desire of the imperialists for the dismantling of the socialist system of the DPRK, or for reforms and opening up in the DPRK, which of course would amount to the same thing. So good on the DPRK for developing the nuclear deterrent and passing the law on the state policy of the nuclear forces. Long live Songun, long live Juche, long live self-reliance, long live People's Korea. Down with US imperialism and all imperialisms. Thank you very much for taking time out to listen to this video today. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, Songun 007, please consider subscribing, and also to our affiliated channel, Korean Friendship Association of the UK. And please consider giving us the support that we deserve and the support we need to defend People's Korea with no ifs and buts by supporting our events both online and in real life. You can find them on the Facebook pages of the Korean Friendship Association of the UK and the Juche Idea Study Group as well, and the Songun Politics page, and also on KFA UK Twitter feed, my personal Twitter feed, which is Juche 0071. And lastly, we have a number of publications, some written by myself, some collectively written, some written by others, which explain the Juche idea and Songun idea and defend People's Korea. You can find those on our lulu.com author spot, which I'll put in the description. Again, thanks for listening, thanks for your support. Have a great day and goodbye. See you again.